This is the Dad Devotionals podcast with Dave Domzalski. Each week, I'll bring you compelling interviews that'll educate, inspire, and motivate you to become the father and husband our Lord called you to be. We're a community of devoted dads who want to strengthen our faith and family and live out our true purpose in this life. Please, won't you join us? Just text me at 717-913-5671 and you'll be welcomed into my devoted dads community. And if you want to support the podcast, we invite you to purchase a product, a book, or a course in our affiliate shop on daddevotionals.com. You can also contribute monthly at patreon.com/daddevotionals. Now, here's today's show. God bless. Today's guest is Will DeShazo, Director of Sales with GrowthTools, which actually provides the tools and coaching to help coaches, consultants, and online course creators 2x their revenue in 12 months. Will leads their sales team and coaches their one-to-one clients on high-ticket sales. Guys, this is a guy you want to listen to. He also launched a registered investment advisor firm, Without WallStreet, now a multi-seven-figure digital business. And he's also a co-owner of Till with his wife, pretty cool, a multiple six-figure digital business that supplies farmers market goods to hundreds of Birmingham, Alabama households. He's married to his lovely wife, and he's based also there in Birmingham. We're chatting today about building your family business on this program. Our topic is getting your first 1,000 subscribers with a simple lead magnet. No matter what business you guys do, you need to learn how to generate that consistent flow of leads that convert into customers, guys. Will, welcome to Dad Devotionals. It's so great to have you.
Yeah, David, man, it's great to see you. For a lot of your listeners may not know, our relationship stems back a couple of years ago when we initially first met, and you had a firsthand experience of our coaching here, and it's full circle, now being here on your show and seeing what you're doing. And thank you for allowing me to just be able to be here. It's really great.
No problem. It's so great to have you. And I know what you say to the listeners today is going to be a real blessing. So we appreciate that. So let's kick things off, Will. As we begin, what do you want the men listening to get out of our chat today?
Let's talk simplicity, because we as men, I think a lot of men would say, I don't overcomplicate anything, but we can. A lot of people would blame that on their wives, but I think we as men, when we create and we build things, man, we want to take it to the moon, and we have these big, beautiful dreams and plans, and we start thinking 20 years out ahead. And sometimes we just need to put the next foot forward, right? And so I would say today, I want to have a really clear message of let's just take that next step to getting it to the next phase that you're into, right? And we can do that by building a simple lead magnet. I've got a really cool tool I can share with your listeners, and hopefully you can grill me a little bit and talk about my experience and how I've done that firsthand,
That's the goal. I will be grilling you. That's what we do here on Dad Devotionals,
That's great.
Try to get to the nitty gritty and what makes you guys tick.
It's good.
All right. So let's get into that then. What is holding people back from getting more leads for their family businesses?
Man, I think not having I think simplicity is key with that. Like, there are so many tools, there is so many distractions, so much noise. I used to have a mentor that would call it noise. It's just noise, right? There's so much noise. It can be hard to cut through. There's always another shiny object, a tool, a funnel, a this, a that. But if we could strip all of that back and let's just focus on what's the one thing we need to do now. And let's play to our strength and hook our carriage up to that thing. Yeah. I think oftentimes people think, well, I've got to build the whole rocket to get to Mars, right? And I got to do it now. It's no, first, let's look and find the suppliers. That's the first step of this thing, right? So I think what holds people back is just the noise and the distraction of all of this tech and this and that and ideas and concepts. And where people fail oftentimes getting something off the ground is that first step. Let's just create something and let's get eyes on that thing. Then we can move to the next step, right?
So what you're saying is maybe don't let the Facebook ads distract you so much. Because if you click on something, you're just going to get more and more of that same kind of product.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're so right. I mean, the Facebook ads, just the rabbit hole that creates for you. It's insane. I mean, my wife and I, we're guilty of it too, right? For sure. But yes, try and as best you can to stay in your lane, get something off the ground, get eyes on a tangible thing and people's feedback on a tangible thing. Then you can move on to the next step of making it better and really growing it.
Absolutely. Well, you know what it's like to take things from nothing and turn them into something. You talk about going to the moon, going to Mars. You were able to do that with some of your, a lot of your success and a lot of your digital businesses. You work with Growth Tools now, but you launched a lot of successful companies. I mean, we talked about it there in the intro. So can you walk us through some of the key areas that led you to succeed, especially when it comes to lead gen?
Yeah, that's really good, David. So backstory, I've been working with Brian Harris and our team here at Growth Tools for over 4 years now, almost 5 years, full-time, not as a contracted, a full-time employee here with Brian and our team. But I actually started as a client. I say client, I wasn't a coaching client. We were actually not offering coaching at that time. Back in 2015, 2016, I had bought Brian's email list building course. It's called 10K subs. That's no longer, you can't buy that anywhere. It's dormant, right? Yeah. But I bought that program because I realized the power of having an email list back then, right? I mean, hey, if you have an audience that is engaged with you, you can just ask them what they want you to do and you can go create the thing. And all of a sudden, like, you have a business, like, really, right? That's it. So I think attributing success, looking back at Till, what we do with our online farmers market today that my wife runs full time, what we did with that RIA that I launched and they are still growing today, the power is in the list, right? And, a great example of that is with our customer base with Till, it's really simple to ask, well, hey, we did this not long ago, David. Things were kind of getting stagnant, dormant. We got a list of about 1,400 people or so. It's not massive, but they're engaged, right? And we said, hey, what can we do to spice things up? Like, how can we help you in the kitchen, right? And people said, I would just love some sort of meal kit. That would be the coolest thing ever. If you could just create something where, like, it's portioned out. It doesn't even have to be sliced, just portioned out for me and I don't waste food. And we realized, oh, wow, food waste is actually a problem for a lot of these people and they want to solve it. So what do? We created meal kits, and now 30% of our orders on a weekly basis around are meal kits, right? And would I have ever known to do that or get it? How hard would I have had to go uphill to get that off the ground? Like, very hard. But when you have an engaged audience and an engaged list, it's really simple. They trust you. So ask them, talk to them, and you can create something out of it. Now, in terms of creating the list, I think that was your original question, right? Like, how do we do that? How do we create that? I think there's really two things to center on with that. One, who are your people? Like, now you don't have to be as specific. Like, you got a really narrow audience, right? Which is awesome, but you don't have to start there. You'll get there. And I think you realize that, like, you got there, right, David? It didn't probably happen overnight, but you got there. Same idea. Just think about who are the different types of people that might like this, right? You might have 3, you might have 4. Like for us with Till, our online, digital farmers market, we thought of 4 different groups of people who may be really interested in this. You have like the busy moms, right? Who are just way too busy. They literally can't go to the farmers market. Like they need, but they also want to support local. So it's a hyper focused group there, right? You have the group that's like 60 plus, kids are out of the house. They love local, right? But it's difficult for them to go to the market. They have hard knees, they have hips, they have to park, they have to haul groceries. Like, they're not really doing that anymore, right? So we came up with 3 or 4 different people groups. And then we said, well, where are these people hanging out? Hey, these busy moms are at the ball fields on Saturdays. No brainer, right? Like, how can we incorporate that? Or, hey, these, past 60s, they're playing cribbage at the local, community center or whatever.
Pickleball's popular.
Yeah, pickleball. Yeah. Oh yeah. Same here, man. Absolutely. And they can get savage out there too, by the way. Yeah. So, like, go where they are, right? And you can think of that on a local level. If you're getting something off the ground locally, whether it's a pasta making class or whatever, you can also think about that on a digital level. What are the podcasts that these specific people groups are listening to? What are the other problems they face on their day-to-day life, in their marriage, with their relationship with their kids? What software are they using? So really think about 3 or 4 people groups, and then you can start going down each of those, right? Now, how do I talk to them and why do they want to hear from me, right? So what's the problem that you can solve for? And we would encourage you to create what we would call a lead magnet. That's the second part. So identify who is the types of people or persons who would enjoy what you are creating, be interested in that, and what specifically would they be interested in, right? A lot of people, David, have lead magnets that are mini online courses, and it's a 7-day challenge, and it's tons of videos, and there is nothing wrong with those. But is that the right place for you to start? No, that's like building the rocket and going to Mars tomorrow, right? What we would recommend is you just to create a really simple PDF, right? And so for all your listeners, actually, they can have access to one of our tools for free. It's called Attract. So attract.io. We'll send them over to a little lander too, David, if they want to go there.
Perfect.
But they can build a really simple PDF like in a couple quick hours. Now, the key with that is solving the problem that their people groups need a solution for. Like a great example of that, when we launched Till, right? We found that through a couple of emails of understanding who people were, they wanted to support local, but they didn't have like the recipes, the how-tos to cook with local Alabama food, squash, zucchini, that kind of stuff, right? Tomatoes, they just didn't really know different ways to cook them other than like, I'll roast it. So what did we do? We actually used Attract for one of our lead magnets. This was 3 years ago, used Attract, built a lead magnet with I think it was 10 or 12 recipes, right? Literally just linking outsourced recipes. You don't have to go create the recipes and create the landing pages and the blogs. Just link to outsourced recipes on new ways to leverage summer vegetables. And that's what we got in people's hands, and they were super stoked about it, right? So that was a problem. Really simple solution. I kid you not, David. I don't know if you've used the Attract tool, but I built that in like an hour. It is not hard, right? It's drag and drop. It's super simple. There's some customizations, color changes you can make. You don't have to be a techie. And then you just go place it where your people are, So that's where I'd begin.
No, that's awesome. What I love about that is how simple it is. And now you got me thinking of things that I can do not only for dad devotionals, but also for Rub the Money. But hold that thought, because we got to take a moment to thank our sponsors. But when we come back, we'll chat more with Will DeShazo on lead generation for your family business. We will be right back.
Hey guys, are you having trouble with your business? You want to boost your revenue and profits? I have the right business coach for you, Joseph Warren. He's a top Christian and business podcaster who also appeared on Dad Devotionals. And I know he can help you clear your path, get out of your own way, and move forward. Let Coach Joe blow up the business rocks stuck in your head. Text Coach Joe plus your best email address to 717-913-5671, and I'll personally connect you with Joseph Warren. It's time to man up. Text me now, 717-913-5671. Let's do this.
All right, we're back right now with Will DeShazo. He's the director of sales at GrowthTools and a serial digital entrepreneur. Well, let's go a little further into the lead generation process for your two businesses. One is more of a national company, the Wall Street one, while the other is more hyper local, Till. Is there a difference in your approach to lead generation? And maybe walk us through how we would use the Attract.io tool.
Yeah. So let's just take two columns, right? If you will. I'm very visual thinking like that. Like one of those columns is Without WallStreet, which is a company that I helped to found. And I haven't been with those guys, but I'm very close with them still. They're here in Birmingham, really great people.
Cool.
Haven't been there in a long time, but I will tell you what I would do on that angle. And then let's take more of the local business, because it's
great,
similar, but different, right? So with Wealth Without WallStreet, we started using a tool like Attract. At that time, I don't even think Attract was out, which is really unfortunate, because I'm over here building it in Canva and dragging and dropping, and they changed the software on me, and I'm like, where is this thing? You guys know how it is, right?
I do.
You're looking at me like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is use Attract to say, okay, well, think about who my people are with Wealth Without WallStreet. They are independent, entrepreneurial thinking. And to me, I actually saw this on Instagram, the other day on IG, and it was like, an entrepreneur isn't as much of a title of a job as it is a mindset. You can work. You should, if you are entrepreneurial minded, you're one of the best employees there is because you're figuring it out on your own, right? And you're pursuing it, right? Hey, if I'm hiring people, I'm hiring entrepreneurial minded people, right? And so what I would do is I think about, okay, well, who's the person for Wealth Without Wall Street? They're an independent thinker. They dig, they research, they love to read, they love to learn, right? So I'm going to make a little bit of a bigger, more wordy, kind of value driven document, not just a quick like 30-second reel type thing. What other problems are they dealing with, right? Well, they're dealing with fluctuation in the market, and they want to build their own wealth similar to your audience, right? And so, okay, well, then now I'm starting to think, well, what are solutions to that? What is a title that I can build around that? And so, it's going to hit an emotional target. Maybe it's 4 ways to build your own wealth outside of Wall Street, right? Or maybe it's 6 strategies to end the year with a nest egg that's in your control or something like that. Right. Which I know you can, being in Run the Money, you're going to be able to rattle these off way faster than I. so then I'm going to think, okay, well, where are those people, that type of thinker, where are they learning? It could be from, Nick Loper, a friend of mine who runs the Side Hustle Show, right? Sure. Like could be that they're learning there on that podcast. Is there a way that I could find an angle that I could serve Nick's audience with what we do at Wealth Without Wall Street? Potentially so, right? What about like different tools maybe? Or hey, here's a good one. Finance, you guys know this, the dads out there. Finance is not just you, it's your wife too. This is a family run thing here, right? It's not a me thing, it's an us. And so, well, what about other maybe marriage counselors out there? Because hey, I'm one that when the marriage is going really great, we should go to the counselor because things are going great. Like, let's keep things going great, right? It's not just the last minute tool of saving us, right?
Well, then also you think about divorce. What's one of the
oh my gosh, one of the main it's finances, right? One of the main causes of stress and tension in a marriage, it's finances. So hey, if I'm a counselor, if or therapist and I listen and I talk, but I don't know how to help people's finances, man, these guys at Wealth Without Wall Street, that's a huge need for my people. Absolutely. So what would I do, David? I would go tweak that lead magnet, the simple PDF that I already made in a track. I'd go skin it. I'd make a copy of it. I'd change the title. I'd add for you and your spouse on there, right? Make it very intentional for that person. I'm speaking their language. Maybe it's 6 ways to be on the same playing field with money and your wife or something like that, right?
So let me just pause you right there. So when you're saying you have the 4 people that you mentioned for Till, right? So are you saying that folks should customize that lead magnet for each group? Is that what you're saying?
You don't have to. Again, that's getting a little bit deeper into the building of the rocket. That's starting to kind of put the screws into the rocket, right? Is that the first step? No. Think about like generally. And then as you start to get that out, David, you're going to find, oh my gosh, the married couples are really attracting to Wealth Without Wall Street. Let's make this a little more personalized for them because we're seeing some result over there.
Cool. Okay.
It's that let's start to shift focus into this group because they are really worth pursuing. We had 4 target audiences with Till. We only really have 2 now because those are the 2 that actually took off. Right. So that's what I would do. I would take that avenue with a more digital, like true digital, not local, but true digital business. Go and, go find some podcasts, go find some conferences, go find people who have your people and teach specifically to them, right? So if I'm Wealth Without Wall Street, I'm speaking to married couples, maybe it's a podcast that a counselor runs, or a webinar in a Facebook group that a counselor has, right? Well, I'm not going to go in there and say, let's think entrepreneurial minded here. Like, let's start to take control of ourselves and really find solutions because you're entrepreneurs out there listening to this show. It's like, what? No, we're not. I'm going to say, hey, I'm married too, right? Like we've got to be on the same page for any purchase over this amount. Here's a tip that I have followed that we find really help us sleep at night, right? Here's a communication. So you've got to speak and understand who that audience is. A local business is quite similar, but how you would approach that's a little different. So maybe, David, if you want to share an example of somebody that you could think of that may run a local business, that needs to increase leads or traffic in their door if they have a brick and mortar, we can kind of just run off of that and just spitball some ideas together.
No, that's good. I love that. So my go-to guy when I think about family business, and that's part of my thought process in linking the two, was this gentleman. His name's Ignazio. He's Italian American. He's got 6 kids with him and his wife, and they run a local pizza joint called Antica Napoli. And they aren't really in necessarily the best location. They're kind of tucked away a little bit. There's another pizza joint that is kind of like prime and center. And for those who know Gettysburg at all, it's a big tourist destination. So he gets some foot traffic, but I feel like, maybe if he did some online lead generation, kind of local geo-targeting, things like that, it would kind of let people who are out of town know, hey, I'm here, come check me out. So when I'm thinking of what he could do for lead gen, that's kind of the avatar, that's kind of the focus that I'm thinking in terms of really hyper local family business.
That's good. So there's a couple of things that he could do. And what I'm hearing when you say location isn't as good, I'm hearing foot traffic isn't as hot, right? So if foot traffic's not hot, if it's not there, then we got to get people to know it's worth going to, right? Or that it's out there, right? And so then you can start to think, okay, well, there's 2 markets for him. For Ignazio, it's the tourist and it's the local, right?
Right.
I mean, if you just boil it down, that's just 2 people. It's like that simple. It doesn't have to be with moms, without kids, single parent. It doesn't have to get that difficult. Right. Tourist, locals, right? Yep. So one thing that he could do to focus on tourists, those that are coming to see Gettysburg, like I just did a quick search, Gettysburg guide, right, online. Yeah. Here's the Gettysburg Foundation. There's a, tour of the battlefield guides, right? The Association of Licensed Battlefield Guides. What are the monuments around Gettysburg? What are the tour guides who walk people through Gettysburg? Who are they? Yeah. Do they do walking tours? Are there horse and carriages? Like, let's start to really think about where all of these tourists are. Sure. And you can build a whole list. We call this a Dream 50, David. It's the same idea when you run an online business. Who are the podcasts that you could be guests on? Who are the webinars you could be a part of? What are the Facebook groups you could teach inside of? What are the conferences you could go to? Now, Ignazio doesn't have that. Like, we're not going to go to a conference and teach about pizza, right? Yeah. Like, no. But he does have tour guides in town. He has websites and blogs that people write about Gettysburg. He has all of that. Now, of course, he could buy ads and Yelp and things like that too. And that's fine as well. No big deal. But like, if you want the real, like, I'm going to trust what a tour guide says. You guys ought to go to this pizza place. Oh, dude, I'm all over it. Right. All over it. So that's where I would go if I was him. I would start to think about partnerships with local folks, right? Yeah. And if they're really good people, then they just want to send you great people, right? And if not, hey, it's not a big deal to throw them a pizza every once in a while too. If it's a local guide, like, hey, come in, I'll treat you. Like, sure. That's what I would say. And then the opposite is like what about the locals there in Gettysburg, right? Like, how do we get them there? And that can be a little bit trickier for sure for a pizza restaurant, obviously. But it's the same concept. Like, let's just think about, I mean, obviously he's not going to go to the CrossFit gym in Gettysburg and like, be like, I want to partner with you guys. Like, that's just not going to work.
Gluten-free
right?
pizza. Though.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe so. Right. Maybe so. But he could certainly still think about a couple of different areas and options. Like if they do delivery, okay, well, who's ordering delivery pizza? Now we're starting to narrow down a little further into the local person. Yeah. What's the local parents with kids, your people, right? Oh, wow. Cool. So maybe where are they there locally, right? Are they using certain tools to do downloads? I mean, to do delivery? Is there a local app or a local business that runs delivery that he could partner with? Sure. Ball fields, could he sponsor pizza parties at, like, yada, 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 you name it, right? I mean, so there's a lot of opportunity there. It really does just go back to getting in front of your people. And in that scenario, his lead magnet doesn't need to be a PDF guide. Like, he doesn't need to create an attract guide. He could have a coupon code, right? He could even, a lead magnet can be, this is the freaking best pizza in Gettysburg. It's just like New York style. It's like I used to have it in Brooklyn. It's got that crispy crust on the bottom. It's coal fired. It's sweet marinara. You guys got to run by there, right?
I'll be honest with you. It actually reminds me, I used to come from the Philly area.
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of South Philly pizza so
There
much.
you go. Yeah. Like, isn't that cool? Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like that alone is a lead magnet. Just to be
Awesome.
clear.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I will definitely, I'm going to tag him when this goes live.
Cool. That's fun. Yeah. Yeah. You should. Come
Yeah,
on.
I love it. All right. So at this point, we've covered a lot, and you've been amazing in terms of, really taking us through multiple types of businesses, multiple types of lead magnets and ways to capture people's attention, multiple types of customer segments, which is awesome. I mean, that's what we're looking for. But is there anything to this point in the show that we've missed? Anything that you want to mention that maybe in some of your coaching calls or some of the things that you just run into with your customers? Anything that stands out to you, like one or two other things that you want to mention?
I would just say start. Like, just commit and start. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out there, right? And see how people chew on it. If you start a restaurant, you don't know what people are going to say until they eat the food, right?
Right.
You got to start it though, and then you can make it better, right? I mean, same idea. I would say just starting is one of the most important things you can do. And the best way to do that is to create a lead magnet and get the right eyes on it. You don't have to go hire somebody on Fiverr to build it and have this complicated long exchange on how it could work and all this stuff. You don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go learn it on your own and build it in Canva or, InDesign or anything like that. Like, use great tools that are out there. And there's others too. You may not like Attract. That's okay too. But like, get something simple. Go to attract.io or one of our tools and like actually do it. And I would recommend like also not running ads early on in the business. And the reason for that is not just cost, but the reason why it's expensive is because you don't know enough about the right person and who they are and what they want to see yet.
Right.
Once you've gotten that, oh, baby, like now that we have, people are struggle with food waste. Oh, people here with Till, they don't know the right recipes to make and not just boil squash. They want something new and fresh. Right. And they love that. Well, hey, I could go run ads now that I know those things and I know the language that they speak and the problems that they face and the needs that have arisen in their life. And sure. I know these things, but I only know those things because I started and then I extracted them. I didn't just guess and throw it up on a wall. Every once in a while, you might hit gold on Facebook with that early on, right? But is it worth the time, the money, the internet? Probably not. No. Build a simple formula for creating a lead magnet in a quick afternoon. We have a training on it, actually. Simple lead magnets, like follow what has worked for other people, right? And also there's a really cool technique called the swap that can get you hundreds of new eyes and new subscribers immediately, which is simply somebody else sending your Attract PDF to their email list, like that marriage counselor I mentioned earlier. What if she just blasted that to their list? I didn't have to spend an hour on her podcast. I don't have to prepare for a webinar, or if I'm scared or nervous on camera or anything like that. She literally just said, hey, you guys need to check this out. It's a really great downloadable. Go over to soandso.com and download it. They click the button, they get there, and now they're on your email list, right? Awesome. And if you could repeat that 4 or 5 times a month, you look up in 6 months, you got a list of a few thousand people that are looking to you for advice. My friends, like, now you can create whatever you want to serve them well, right? And not to mention pass that along, like involve your family, bring your wife, your kids, right? Like, show them whatever it is that you're training on, let them in the inside of your life, right? And let your light shine through that. So that's what I would recommend. And yeah, man, we've got some really good resources, David, if you'd want to share those. I don't know.
Definitely. No, absolutely. We will. Yeah. I'll get to that right at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
we'll talk about all those cool things, because I know you guys have so much, and I know you're always adding things.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, let's just focus on the right next step. It's exactly. Like let's begin let's roll over on our bellies. That's like the big monumental moment with our kids, right? Let's roll over on our bellies. Right. Let's not even talk about crawling yet. Let's just roll over on our bellies, and then we can crawl, and then we can kind of get to baby walking, and then walk, and then run, and yada yada. So yeah.
Well, you're not a dad yet, but I mean, you already got the stages down. You already know. You're already thinking ahead. I love it,
man. Let me tell you, I turned 31 just a few days ago. My wife's
happy birthday.
She's 28. Thanks so much. And we're in the phase of life where everybody's popping out kids. Mostly their first. There's a few that are having their second. and a few brave souls having their third. And so yeah, I know the phases, I know the phases for sure.
Nice. Well, I also appreciate how you mentioned, getting your wife and your kids involved. My wife, I mean, she's involved a little bit, but only to so much that she really wants to be. She doesn't love all the nitty gritty and the technical stuff. When I try to start talking to her about it, her eyes glaze over and she's like, all right, I'm bored. But my son, actually, this is kind of funny. He was really into golf. And I got the idea of starting to teach him just a little bit about e-commerce. He's 6. So, but we started, finding some Amazon affiliate products that we could put on a little site for him. And we're going to be launching that soon. It's it's going to be like a golf apparel store for kids.
That's awesome. Yes. Love it.
Yeah. So it'll be pretty cool. I'm excited about that. But all right, now it's time for my favorite segment as we wrap up here. It's called the Family Business 5. Kind of think of it as a lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers. Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. Let's do this.
Excellent. What's the most rewarding thing about being a business owner?
Oh, wow. Taking your time back.
I like that. How about the most difficult thing about being a business owner?
Roller coaster of emotions, ups and downs, continually solving problems regularly. Yeah.
So it's your time, but you're on the roller coaster the whole time.
you gotta admit that, hey, you're getting time back, but the time that you're putting into it is as reckless as it's ever been. Yeah.
Amen to that, brother. Yeah. What is the best business book that you've read?
Oh, actually, I just finished. Well, gosh, man, that's so hard. Come on, David. That's one of the toughest ones.
Well, it's a hot seat.
I love Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference. I think I got it. It's a sales driven book. It's really entertaining. That's a good one.
Nice. I will link that one up too. Who is someone you admire? And don't say Brian.
And don't say Brian.
That's cheating.
Man, someone I admire. I am really into food. Hence what we've launched here on a local level. And there's a chef that immediately comes to my brain. His name is Jet Tila, and this actually works really well with your podcast somehow. He's just a lot of people in that world struggle and go to drinking and a lifestyle that is just like tough because they're up late hours and late nights and the
wine's right there.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. So Jet is just a family man. He's an awesome guy. He's made it. I mean, he's a celebrity chef. He runs multiple restaurants, but he puts his wife and his kids first always. And despite just the temptations that are in front of him, he always puts his wife and his kids first, and we'll point back to them regularly. And he's a great dude. I don't know that Jet's a Christian or not. It seems like he loves Jesus. I don't know. But anyways, he's a great guy. I'd have to say Jet Tila right now, but that could change in 30 minutes all day long.
Well, so, I was surprised you didn't say your wife for brownie points, but maybe next time.
Yeah, don't show her this episode.
I won't. We're familiar with having chefs on the program. I had Chef Sofia Monotakis earlier this year. I don't know if you're familiar with her on the Food Network.
Cool. But
yeah. So she makes she's Greek Orthodox. So we had her on before, at the turn of the year, one for, making sure you're doing your due diligence on your diet, and then also for Lent, different Lenten meals that families could nice. Try out.
Yeah, so, that's great.
All right, last question I got for you for the Family Business 5. Name a quote, a topic, or a Bible verse that you're meditating on lately.
A quote, a topic, or a Bible verse that I'm meditating on lately. There was this book I'm looking at right now. It's called Tribe of Millionaires. It's really just about surrounding yourself with the right people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about business or money or anything like that.
Sure.
But he mentions that, and I'm going to butcher this quote, but he mentions, obviously people are some of who they're around, right?
Yeah.
And he says this. He says, "Are you like the people that you're around? Are you similar to them because you're similar, or are you similar to them because you just spend that much time together?" Right.
Interesting.
which kind of makes you pause to think and say, And also, I'm a firm believer of you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And, my wife and I are super plugged into our church, and our best friends are members of our church, right? And so I think you are some of the people that you are around. And that's a really great read. It really sums that up throughout the entire book, Tribe of Millionaires. It's a good one. But yeah, I think that's kind of been really in my feels recently. Hey, let's make sure we're careful about and protective of who we have in our circle,
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of John Lee Dumas always shares on Entrepreneurs on Fire that the Jim Rohn quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's right.
So yeah, that's right there. And guys, if you're listening to this podcast, at least you're surrounding yourself with some good folks. Maybe not me. I'm not the best, I'm not perfect, but definitely the guests that I bring on really are a testament to our Lord, to their families, and just to, their own businesses, their own careers, their own lives. So please be sure to make sure you subscribe and check out all the wonderful people we bring on, just like Will here. All right. So Will, we're just about out of time, but I want to give you a chance to tell us where we can connect with you, where we can pick up some of those awesome tools that GrowthTools has for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we built a little bit of a just a quick page. You can go to go.growthtools.com/run the money. So nice. Go.growthtools.com/run the money. So we'll have a couple of things there. You can have a direct link to attract.io, which is our free tool to build a lead magnet. And actually, David, we recently did an entire workshop. It's like an hour-long workshop specifically on how to build a lead magnet and how to get the right traffic to it.
Perfect.
So all of those links will be there. I'm talking about the swap technique I discussed earlier. That's all on this. How to effectively promote your lead magnet on your website. Where do I put it on my website? I don't know those things. Go-to strategies to promoting it, getting traffic to it. So yeah, you guys can actually just go there. It's go.growthtools.com/run the money, and everything will be there for you.
Awesome. I will link that up in the show notes. And thanks for coming prepared with the landing page and all these other tools and all, the webinar and all. I really appreciate it for my listeners.
Well, I hope it's been helpful. And I hope that someone out there listening, even if it's just one person, can say, cool, I'm ready to start today. Let's follow this framework and move. It's great.
Amen, brother. Well, thank you so much, Will. It's been a pleasure. May God grant you many blessed years with you and your wife. And take care, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for listening to Dad Devotionals. Be sure to text me at 717-913-5671 to join the Devoted Dads community. Do me a favor and share this episode with at least one other person who could benefit. Until next time, take care and God bless.